Ismail Abdulsalam, BeatsBoxingMayhem.com, here with a very special guest. This man is pretty much universally recognized as the hottest heavyweight prospect in the game today. I wouldn't just say the U.S., I would say worldwide. I'm here with none other than Jared, the real big baby Anderson. Jared, how are you doing today? And welcome to the show.
I'm blessed. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, man. So you've been one of the most active fighters we've seen so far this year. You're already 4-0, going for 5-0 on December 11th when you face Alexander Telenko, I think is how I pronounce his name. But this fight's going to be a little different, being that you're fighting at Madison Square Garden. How does it feel this is going to be your debut at the Garden, your debut in NYC? Does it even feel different at this point, or just still hasn't set in completely yet?
I fight everywhere I go. So I guess maybe it ain't sunk in. I'm excited to go to MSG though, so it's gonna be an experience. I can't wait to experience.
Got it. So do you even at this point, I know Xander Zayas is another one within Top Rank. He told me that his main goal was to be prospect of the year. Do you even consider yourself a prospect, or do things like that not really concern you at this point, being that you're on the way up?
I would love the title, or I would love to win it, but it's not it's not a must for me. If he wins, great. He's been doing his thing. I've been doing my thing. May the best man win. We both sharp, we both fast, and we both young. He's younger than me, and he's doing it younger than me. Just as many fights, if not, I think he got one more than me, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, he's doing his thing. So if he win, he win.
Got it. So one thing I've noticed this year is the competition has stepped up, but the results have been the same. You're still knocking out people early. So I think people on the outside might just assume it's still as easy, but being that you're in the ring, are you noticing a difference with the resistance that you're getting from guys, the punching power? Is any of that different with the competition going up, or does it still feel pretty much the same as when you started?
Oh, it's not nearly the same as I started at. My first fight was 54 seconds. The fight after that was another first round. I don't know, but I know that the competition is not the same. It's not first round knockouts no more, and I'm picking opponents apart. I don't know what Vladimir had on his mind that night, but maybe it was the right hand. I don't know, but like I said, the competition I believe is going up, and the rounds will too.
Got it. So speaking of your last couple of fights this year, so first one with Kingsley, that was the one that really caught everybody's attention. You're parrying the punches and you caught him with the hook and knocked him out. With Karpinski, you stopped him with a body shot. And then you just mentioned with the last one, you really just kind of bullied him inside and got him out of there, got him not wanting to fight anymore. For this fight, what do you feel is one of the things you've most been working on? Because you've seen the body shot work, you've seen the defense has been improving. Anything in particular that you're focused on improving with this particular fight, or pretty much just to close out the year? What do you focus on improving?
Staying as sharp as I can, staying defensively sound. Because although you say I have improved, I have also noticed some flaws in it. I seen some pictures after the fight that I had posted. I had my hand down throwing the body shot. So it's just stuff like that. I know ain't nobody perfect, but you can try to be. So that's my goal right now to, like I said, be defensively sound and keep my explosiveness going.
Got it. So I've spoken with Bob Arum. One of the things he said is that you have $1 million smile, you have a great personality. But one thing about that smile, I noticed there's some things in there too. You really have a mean streak when you're going in there with fighters. And you talked about before that you love to kind of break fighters' will. Now, one thing about that is there's different ways you can do that. You can outbox somebody, just make them frustrated. You can also just keep the pressure on them and make them exhausted. But you can also, if you hit them hard enough, they feel that power, then they're just fighting to survive. What would you say that you enjoy the most out of your opponents so far as when you're breaking that will? Which style do you prefer?
Beating them down the whole, just pressing them forward the whole time, either blocking shots and giving them one, or taking a shot, giving them one. That's my favorite, only because you see it in their face, round by round, breaking down the frustration in their face in the first 2 rounds. Third or fourth round, now it's desperation. 6 and 7 is just like, oh wow, what I got going on? This is not it. if it goes that far. So that would be my favorite part.
So I'm glad you said that because the fight that I think most displays that would be the Kingsley Abiya fight. You know, in the beginning, he's laughing at the punches and all that. And even when he's get busted up, he's still kind of laughing a little bit, even when he's bleeding. But that last round is when I kind of noticed it was more just like a deer in headlights. It wasn't the laughing, he was just backpedaling, trying to get away. But that's when I noticed it. And that was the last round, round 6. Did you notice it before then that he was ready to go? Or did it really all happen in that last round where he was just like, I need to get out of here?
It was a progression, just like I broke it down. First round or two is like, oh yeah, he. I knew I had him. Now I started smiling in the first 2 rounds. I'm like, oh, I got him. I know what I got to do. And from there on, it just like it increased. I seen certain punches land, and then it's like, oh my, he still got that much speed, and it's the 4th round or something like that, you know. So no way he should have hit me with that or something. Like you could see it in his eyes. The eyes don't lie, especially when you fighting. No matter what you got going on, that's why the refs stop a lot of different fights, because when you look in a person's eyes and you see what's really going on in their head, there's nothing you can do.
Got it. Got it. So one thing we used to hear over the years from Teddy Atlas when he was on ESPN was that the next great heavyweight isn't in boxing. He's in football, he's in basketball, kind of implying that a lot of the great athletes aren't choosing boxing anymore. But you never had that issue. Even when you have football and other sports you can do, you've always been kind of focused on boxing. What would you say is the reason for that? And do you feel that there's something that can be done just to make sure that the interest stays in boxing over the other sports that are out there in the U.S.?
Considering how we make our money, how fast we make our money, and I want our bittersweet fans. I'm gonna go there. Our bittersweet fans, because it's a lot of fans who I love, appreciate so much, and respect, but it's a lot of bad also. I think we get it the worst. So I don't know. I don't think there's anything I could do to as far as keep my interest in boxing, because it's already on it. I know it's not going anywhere, but that's how I feel about it.
Got it. Now let's talk about the fans that you mentioned a little bit. You said you got the fans that you love. What do you think is the worst qualities that you're seeing in boxing fans that you wish was just better? You know, I know fans are kind of rabid no matter what, basketball, football, but boxing, I think we have a particular set of fans, you know, that are just different. What do you feel that you want to see better with boxing fans that, you know, come out to the sport and, you know, talk about fighters?
One, I want every boxing fan to respect every man that's stepping in the ring. I don't care what's going on. I don't care how bad they get knocked out or none of that stuff. Y'all need to start respecting every man who get in that ring, because you wouldn't get in there. So you can't talk about somebody who put on them gloves and took punches to the face on national TV when it is on national TV. You know what I'm saying? And risk their lives. Like we risk our lives as people who done died in this sport. Well, I ain't say every sport, but a lot of sports. But yeah, for sure. Like people die in this game. You know what I'm saying? In the ring, out the ring, right after they leave the ring. That's not something you play with. That's one thing. Then another thing, how you come at fighters online. Like yeah, some like me personally, I can be reckless sometimes on social media. I don't know how I get, but I'm a troll though. Me personally, like
Really?
you troll me, I'm gonna troll you. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Like
Gotcha.
somebody comment on my thing right before the Wilder fight. Like oh yeah, you never accomplished what Wilder did and all this woo woo. And then somebody called me a nobody, and I was like, "So are you? So what's your point?" It's just like you troll me, I'm gonna troll you. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I know it's a lot of different people who, regardless though, you shouldn't approach whether you're a fan of them or not. You shouldn't approach nobody disrespectfully, and you shouldn't bash them on the internet, no matter what they got going on. Everybody human. You know what I'm saying? I'm not perfect, and neither are you. So don't judge me off of my actions like you some god or something. People always judging people and saying what they should have did, what they shouldn't have did with Tank situations. Y'all don't know what Tank going through. Y'all don't know how Tank grew up. Y'all don't know it's certain things that play with the mind. It's certain things it's certain gestures you can make that make somebody switch so quick. Because I know it happened to me before. It's some people have PTSD, things like that. So you can't always judge people off their actions. Sometimes you gotta know the backstory and evaluate what really happened. You know what I'm saying? So some things trigger people, some things don't. And I think the fans should just be more considerate, you know. But other than that, all in all, like I said, I'm still a fan of the sport.
Got it. It's actually, you remind me of something I said, at least on the media end. I feel like all boxing media at some point should be sparring, should get in the ring or do boxing training. I think number one, that's going to make you appreciate the sport, and it's going to make you better realize what you're watching in the ring. So that's one theory I had, at least on the media end. So I appreciate you saying that about the fans.
Mm.
Going to the next point, talking to Aaron again about you, he mentioned that you had to him a lot of qualities that he saw in Muhammad Ali, that you have a really strong work ethic, great personality. So I know you mentioned that you don't really like to watch a lot of tape of your opponents, you let your team handle that. But when it comes to actually historical boxing, do you watch a lot of that in your free time, a lot of the older fighters?
Not
Oh,
even
not at all.
close. I probably did watch no more than 30 fights as far as the old school go. And that's strictly off of my coach telling me like, hey, go look at this fight. Hey, go look at this fight. See what they did in this fight.
Right, gotcha. I've heard that before with some fighters, and I know you mentioned before that when you were first starting out, it was really enjoyable, the camaraderie that you had in camp with people. But now that you're a professional, of course, it's more of the business, and you said sometimes it's not as enjoyable. What is the most difficult aspect of being a professional besides what we talked about with the fans? I know the business aspect can be really difficult. What's been the biggest adjustment for you over the last 2 years?
Media and fans. Media and fans. That's literally it. Everything else is completely the same. Only thing I can say is it got dull a little bit. I, I fell in love with the sport at 13, 14 because I was a kid and it was the
Right.
kid values that made the game fun. Getting in the ring and sparring 10 rounds straight, talking mess with your sparring partner the entire time. Like it's people I call brothers, not because blood, but because we had blood, sweat, and tears in that ring. You know what I'm saying? Them was my brothers, if you ask me. Certain stuff like that made it fun. Training with certain people from our city, traveling on different trips, staying in hotels, and we used to sleep on floors in hotel rooms to go to tournaments. So that was certain stuff that made it fun. That's kind of what made it dull. But for sure, the media and the fans adjusting to that. Like I got bashed one time because he said that I walked past him and looked his nephew up and down and told him I wouldn't take a picture with him, which was completely false. But regardless of the fact, certain things like that, like I'm human. You think that I don't have any place to go because I'm leaving a fight. Like I could have somewhere to go. My girlfriend could be pregnant. You don't know that. Like you don't know what's going on in my life. You know what I'm saying? There's certain stuff like that. Like I gotta chill. And then the media, like, it's my guy. But
Okay.
Timothy Bradley, for instance, Timothy Bradley has spoke on Shakur Stevenson, his power and some other stuff. And then sometimes you gotta take that back. Everybody not man enough to take that back, So it's a lot of people who train. Oh, Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman, one of the worst people ever. I hate it. I hate
Oh,
the things he
really?
say sometimes. I hate some of the things he say, man. But I just think they should do better at that. Maybe it's in their job description. It could be, to be honest, to be controversial, just because of how much people see things differently in this world, you have to be controversial because if you're not, then it doesn't raise questions, doesn't raise problems, doesn't, keep fans interested. So it might be in a job description, but if it's not, I would advise y'all to leave us alone or to be better with us, man.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the media level too, because when you're on TV, then yeah, it's almost like we have to have like a barbershop type of banter going back and forth. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about with that. I wanted to bring up a point where you mentioned you don't watch a lot of historical boxing. So there's something I wanted to bring to your attention where I think your career may go. So you look at Mike Tyson and Rocky Marciano. One of the benefits that they had is by the time they got to the championship level, because they were initially younger, a lot of the guys that they fought were older. They're kind of on their way out there in the mid 30s. And you've seen that a lot now. You got Tyson Fury, people like that. Even people like Joe Joyce is 36. Andrew Ruiz is 33. So by the time that those fighters, talking about Marciano and Tyson, got to the championship level, they were just cleaning those guys out. They're basically just pushing them into retirement because those guys already have one foot out the door. And I'm looking at your career being that you're 21 years old. By the time you possibly get to that level, a lot of those guys might already have one foot out the door, and you're going to be the one that will push them out and basically, solidify your claim as a top heavyweight. I just wanted to know, have you ever even looked at just where your trajectory is going to go? Because I know you mentioned before you kind of wanted to start fast, didn't want to be in it too long. So did you kind of look at possibly that type of scenario happening where you're just cleaning out guys that are already halfway out the door because of your young age?
It's exactly my goal. Timing is everything, and I think I always say I wish I was born before, only because of the generation, how I feel about it and everything, and how I was raised. I wish I was born when my dad was, because everything he say, I should have been there in those times. The stuff that they got away with, the stuff they got caught with, all that, I was meant to be there at the time. That was
Okay.
what, you know what I'm saying? Just how I live, my lifestyle, everything. I'm a smooth type of guy, not many words, you know what I'm saying? I stay to myself for the most part. Um, and I have a way of making people like me. Not saying that I'm not likable, but I have a way of talking to people and getting them to like me. So stuff like that, I'd have been a king back in that era. Just
Okay.
and then like my skill and everything else, I would have been a king in their era. So timing is everything, and I think I was born at the perfect time too. Like you said, push those older ones on their way out the door, and the ones that are of age are not of the right caliber, and the ones that are coming up. So they're gonna have their chance to push me out the door.
Got it. Got it. So I wanted to kind of circle back to what you talked about with the media before, because it made me look at two people in particular. One is a good friend of yours, F.A. Ajaba. He just had a loss recently against Frank Sanchez. And it's almost like, people really went in on him. He went the distance, didn't get knocked out, got up from being knocked down. But I heard a lot of people say that, oh, well, he doesn't have any heart. He was scared to get knocked out. And then, a couple fights ago, people forget he got off the canvas to win a fight. He got knocked down twice, got up and knocked the guy out. It's like all that's out the window now because he lost. And I know that you're a good friend of his. You even talked about potentially a fight down the line. How did you view that? Because eventually that's going to come to you. Eventually, when you have a tough moment, get buzzed or something, you're going to get those same questions. Has that made you ready for that, knowing that that's eventually going to come, where it's just going to be criticism sometimes that's not warranted, just because you're young and people are just waiting for something, a chink in the armor.
I gotta stop you there. I gotta stop you there. We're gonna knock on some wood. Hey man, I just seen a lot of careers, man, where people don't even well, at least not to the fans, be able to tell that they got buzz. So hopefully God willing that continues for my career and that I don't get that. But if it does, I think I'm ready. I believe I am. I have been hurt in the gym before, and I kept my composure, turned it around, and it even turned the sparring around. So hopefully I'm prepared for it. You can always say you are prepared for it until it happens. So, like I said, God willing, I am prepared for it. But with the FA situation, that's my dog. There's a lot of things going into that fight that was going on. The man had COVID the camp before and everything else. People don't understand that the toll it took on his body. He had to stop training. He came in one of the probably the lightest he didn't ever fought in the pros, if not close to it. Definitely in the last few years, the lightest he's been. So things like that, like he wasn't himself. I didn't think that he should have took the fight after they postponed it the first time. I told him that it is what it is. He fought off his heart. He went out on his shield. I respect him. Hopefully he come back healthy and stronger the next fight.
So everybody talks a lot about the fact that you sparred Tyson Fury. They always ask you what you learned from him and all that. But I was more interested in knowing what he may have imparted on you outside of the ring, because you both have great personalities. You just mentioned that you know how to get people to like you, and that's really important when you're coming up in the game. Especially you look at his entrances, he had the gypsy dancers and all that. You have your chef hat, you've had rappers walk you to the ring. So anything that he told you outside of the ring, as far as like you mentioned, how to handle media and how to really get people on your side in the boxing industry.
I can't say we didn't have those conversations. It's been all boxing really, as far as like the actual action of it, not more of the media and things. I haven't had any, if many, if any, conversations about that.
So my last question for you, I think one thing that's actually helped you is the fact that there's still a little bit of mystery around you. People don't got your full personality yet. They only got glimpses of it so far because you're still on the come up. But one thing I noticed, you were doing a lot of dancing in the ring with Kingsley as far as shimmying and all that. You were just having a lot of fun in there. So it made me wonder, what do you like to do outside the ring? Do you like the club? What are you into?
I hate the club. It makes no sense to me. Spend too much money. And now I live in Houston where it's people, I swear, I kid you not, I just met this girl. She said you have to buy 3 bottles in order to get a section. And
that's Houston, yeah.
That's like almost, it's probably close to $1,000 off rip because they bottles is going for $200-300 a bottle. So that's $600 off the bottles. if they make you pay for the section, you got a tip and all this other stuff, pay to get in. Oh man, so much going on. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? It's not my lifestyle. So definitely not the club. I'm a Call of Duty man. I play Call of Duty for the most part, especially when I'm in camp, when I'm outside of camp. I'm a family man. I like kicking with my family. And I love cars. So cars and dogs. So
Gotcha.
I drive around all day. I should have been a semi-truck driver. I probably would have made more money. But yeah, I love cars. I can ride around in a car all day, especially back home in my city. We probably like our city probably stretch 40 miles, if that, you know, and that's this big compared to Houston. So I could ride around my city all day, not have no worries, go from one side of town to the other in 10 minutes. So I'm a fan of cars, dogs, and Warzone.
Appreciate it. I'm glad you mentioned Call of Duty because I got into Last of Us 2 last year. I'm just starting to get back in the gaming, so I'll put that on the list. And I'm also going to say I'm here in Atlanta, so I definitely want you to fight down here. But yeah, you'll definitely want to stay away from the clubs. Just stay away from the clubs.
Yep.
You'll hate it down here. But I appreciate your time. I thank you for everything. One last thing, let everybody know where they can find you out on social media.
Jared Anderson 419 on Instagram, Jared Anderson on Facebook, and Killer-Boxer 419 on Snapchat.
All right, looking forward to seeing you on the undercard of Commey Lomachenko on December 11th. You take care.
Thank you, too.
I appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Thanks.